What's up, guys? I am back, though I won't be posting quite as often simply because I have, stuff going on in my personal life, and I just haven't been able to keep up with the news quite as frequently as of late. But that, that's going to happen from t time to time. But right now, I got sent a story that I felt was something that needed to be talked about. Considering I've seen similar stories from other sources, this one is specific though to my home state of Texas, um, and because of that, I felt the need to talk about it. Um, Now, we've seen a lot of stories from mainstream media even talking about the need to quote unquote weed out extremists from the military. And I'm sure a lot of you guys saw after the January 6th riot, I refuse to call it an insurrection simply because it was one day. It did not result in that much damage compared to other riots going on, and it it wasn't as big as what had been happening through the last year, and they still call that mostly peaceful protests. So until they call what's been happening for the last year and is still happening, um, insurrections or one long insurrection, I will not call the January 6th riot an insurrection. So, following the January 6th riot, we had National Guard stationed in DC for I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks, maybe longer. And that prompted many news stories to come out talking about the military going through and weeding out extremists. And what they were referring to was people who were racist or had posted racist things or stuff like that. However, what they defined as racist uh, really was not. It was stuff like if you had ever posted a picture with a Gadsden flag or posted a picture with firearms on your personal time or making an OK symbol or really anything that is pretty arbitrary or innocuous now became a reason to consider you racist or an extremist. If you were a member of the NRA, now we're finding out that even the Texas Guard is this is happening in, and the reason that that's significant we will get to in a moment. Now, let's take a look at the story that I'm talking about, and it's from the Lid. Now, this is obviously a right-leaning source, but the reason that I feel like talking about it, and the reason I think that it is a uh, credible, credible-ish source, is because this is not the only time we've heard about this. We've heard about this in mainstream news for months. And the reason that I think that this isn't getting as much coverage as the others is that this is very specific to the Texas uh, State Guard, right? And because of that, it's not going to be like a widespread, news story. But I think it's very important because for Texas, we have a very unique system when it comes to our military, and you'll figure that out in a second. So I'm gonna read this story, and basically, it's a Texas State Guardsman says that the leadership is trying to indoctrinate uh, everyone to the far left ideology. Andy Hopper, currently serving as a Texas State Guard warrant officer, saw something at his monthly drill that shook his confidence. He tells his full story in his own words, but we will summarize it with some direct quotes. If this is happening in Texas, we can and should ask if it's happening elsewhere as well. In particular, we wonder who's behind it. Well, We know that it's happening elsewhere, considering there are multiple stories that say so, multiple mainstream stories that say so from months ago when the Capitol stuff happened. And, you could probably find them pretty simply by, Googling it. Um, so we're just going to read this story, though, because this is what I want to focus on. So he says, during our monthly drill, we were ordered into an auditorium at Camp Mabry and indoctrinated with themes of cultural Marxism and critical race theory that characterize the same DoD extremism training that has been forced upon all federal troops since the January 6th rally for President Trump in Washington, D.C. Unlike the federal training, our training occurred with a room full of Texas general officers, including Major General Robert Bodish, the commanding general of the Texas State Guard. Texas is somewhat unique in that the Texas military forces is made up of no less than three branches: the Army National Guard, the Air National Guard, and the Texas State Guard. The reporting structure is complex, but the bottom line is that the State Guard only reports to the governor of Texas and cannot be federalized. The Department of Defense is not in our reporting structure, and Washington, D.C. has no role in the command of our state military forces. So, basically, what that's saying is Texas State Guard does not and will not report to the federal government. It is directly underneath the governor of the state and no one else. And yet, this type of thing is somehow getting into there. And you might be asking, well, what exactly is it that's getting into there? Well, we're going to get to that. So, with the context given, you might think it was fairly well insulated from the ridiculous hard left turn we have seen at the federal level since late January. But unfortunately, this story will make you rethink that. Ultimately, what I witnessed on May 22nd was a case of leadership boldly weaponizing the chain of command to indoctrinate a left wing political agenda of cultural Marxism, critical race theory, and moral relativism upon military forces of the state of Texas. I rose to forcefully remind the officers that they were misusing the chain of command to indoctrinate their political beliefs. The training was given by one senior NCO and several lawyers, and it was preceded by a short reminder of the oath of office given by the commanding general. The reason given pertained to the attack on the Capitol that led to the genesis of the prescribed training and included the order of Biden's Secretary of Defense to perform the mandatory training. Specifically, troops were told that there was a list of extremist organizations and that soldiers with extreme views would be investigated. Troops were encouraged to report others whom they felt held extreme views. Now, you might be wondering, well, what could be wrong with that? Somebody's obviously a Nazi or a racist and they're, bigoted and they're being an asshole to fellow soldiers. What's wrong with reporting them? Well, I would say to that, nothing, because that person's obviously an a-hole. But they, what they say is extreme, or what you hold as extreme views, could be anything. And it could be anything and arbitrary, and most of it is. And we're going to get to that. What might you think is that? So, that narrative could just as easily have come from the mouth of Biden, Pelosi, or AOC. Did these training sessions give any examples of extreme belief? You bet. The sessions went on to say that mere membership in the NRA might not be extreme, but if you fundraise or recruit, you certainly would be. Every example of extreme that was offered happened to be on the political right. What else is extreme? Apparently, that list would include Rep. Steve Toth, a major in the Texas State Guard, and Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, because any reference to Texit or secede is also evidence of extremism. That's a weird claim, since most Republicans and about 30% of Democrats favor Texas independence. But if these guys are supposed to report directly to the governor and not some federal institution, where's this coming from? Okay, let's back up real quick just so I can address this. This is an opinion piece with quotes from somebody who was at this. So, not everything here is 100% factual aside from the quotes, right? Um, but like I said, this has been reported in other instances with other media outlets. So that's why I'm even bothering talking about this because it's true. It's true. It is clearly true when you have multiple different outlets reporting it from different ideologies. Because the thing is, truth is usually where the left and the right intersect, right? That's usually where the truth lies. If both sides are saying that this shit's happening in our military, then some version of it is happening. Plus, some of the other stories have actual proof, but that anyway. What I wanted to clarify though was the part where he says the thing about Texit or seceding and that most Republicans support. I don't think that's true because from the statistics that I've seen, it's only like 40 something percent of people support Texas seceding, and that's among both Democrats and Republicans combined. So I don't think that that's true. But it is a very large percentage. So I don't think that you could consider that extremism either if a plurality, I'll say, if a plurality of people believe that that's a good way to go about it. So anyway, going back to what this soldier was saying. Once the question and answer session of our training began, I stood and asked whether Governor Abbott was aware that this training was being administered to non-federal Texas guardsmen. After all, when it was revealed that the Biden administration was vetting troops based upon the same standards of extremism taught in this class, uh, Governor Abbott recalled the Texas National Guard from Washington, saying that the vetting of the National Guard was the most offensive thing I've ever heard. After some confusion, the instructor began to suggest an answer, and there was an audible command, "Don't answer that." Ultimately, I was promised an answer after the matter was investigated. So, basically, this guy goes, "Hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. Listen here. Does our governor know that this shit's going on? Cause the last time some shit like this happened, he withdrew our troops from where it was happening so that they weren't going to be subjected to that. And then some guy, and then some guy go starts to the instructor starts go, well, and then from in the back you hear, "Don't answer that." Really? That's not concerning? That is very concerning. That makes me wonder. Actually, that pretty much tells me that Governor Abbott does not know that this is going on. And I can almost guarantee that he doesn't because as this soldier points out, he pulled our troops when this stuff was happening after the January 6th riot, and then he just signed into law like what, 6 or 7 pro-gun legislation, and he's a Republican. There's no way he knows that this is going on. So somebody should bring this to his attention, obviously, right? So, uh, so the soldier says, I stood again and reminded the instructors that Article 1, Section 24 of the Texas Bill of Rights states that the military shall be at all times subordinate to the civil authority. I asked what civil authority had ordered this excuse me, had ordered this training. One thing was clear. The Texas Adjutant General, Major General Tracy R. Norris, ordered Texas State Guard Major General Robert Bodish to conduct the DoD training. But no civil authority was offered. It should also be noted that while the Texas State Guard is a state agency, no other state agency has been asked to take extremist training. Wow, that's interesting. And this author goes on to say, the Marxists are acting as though they have a clear path to hijacking the few national institutions that have resisted being captured by their ideologies. Time will tell which side wins, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. But the reason I brought this up was because this is so concerning. The fact that this is being done against the will or without the knowledge of those who are actually in charge as per the Constitution, voting, who won the vote, who's actually sitting in the seat, that's ridiculous. I mean, so right here we have somebody who's obviously going around Greg Abbott right now here in Texas. But this wouldn't be the first time that something like this has happened because it happened with Donald Trump when the generals lied to Trump while he was in office about the number of troops we had in Afghanistan while he was trying to bring them back. So that way, we would still have a significant amount of troops back there while he thought we had most of them home. And they admitted to lying to him. So right now, we have government officials who are lying to those who we have voted for and put into office to be our representatives and to make decisions on our behalf. But those decisions don't mean anything because you have other elected officials, other appointed officials who are not following what is being voted on or being said by our representatives. And quite honestly, it's insubordination like this, and quite honestly, I would consider this borderline treason because you are doing something that is plainly and specifically against what our governor holds as a political viewpoint and has taken action on in the past with removing our troops from that training. Now you're going behind his back to do something like this. I think personally that someone needs to get fired. Probably General Tracy or General Norris, whatever his last name is, Norris, I believe. Um, because he's the one who ordered General Robert Bodish to do this. Now, quite personally, I think both should get fired because even though Norris is the one that ordered Bodish, Bodish went with it, and that's unacceptable. So, in my opinion, both these generals need to be relieved of their command and somebody put in a place who will actually follow what the governor wants and orders and will not go against something that is clearly against what the governor would suggest if he knew about it. Because if he knew about it, I'm pretty sure that he would straight up tell them to not to stop this crap. Now, that may just be my opinion. I'm gonna say you guys make that determination. You guys tell me what you think. Um, Tell me if you guys watch my videos and you've encountered any of this similar stuff. Let me know. Put it in the comments. If you guys have come across an article referencing something that I may not know about, put it down below and I'll get to it. Anyway, guys, I very much appreciate all of you guys who watch my videos and I love y'all. Um, I hope that you guys enjoy the videos. I hope they're a little bit informative. And I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Please like and subscribe. Share this video to people, especially if you live in Texas. And go ahead and hit the notification bell so that way you get notified whenever I post a new video if you would like to stay up to date on the stuff that I'm talking about. And if you want to check out my other two channels, I have a gaming channel, BioPilot17 Gaming. I've been posting quite a bit on there. And if you also want to check out my firearms channel, I don't post on that one a whole lot just because I haven't gotten time to go out to the range and I haven't really bought anything new in a little while. So if you guys enjoy this video, please like, subscribe. Love y'all. Peace out.